What is up, guys? This is a Mini GS and we're gonna review it. So I think we've had a lot of questions lately about this thing, whether you should buy this or something else. So we're gonna talk about this and say things you should buy or shouldn't buy over the Mini GS. The Mini GS is the second version of the Mini. There was the original Mini and now there's the GS. So what's the difference? The GS has, like the Axe or Axe Pro, that on-off, has the rubber foregrip, better trigger, and smaller overall profile than the original Mini. So let's go over a couple things that I like about the Mini and let's do a couple things I don't like. So I'm a fan of Empire's inline poppet bolt system. There's very few O-rings on it. Little can go wrong. It's really easy to clean. Maintenance is really low. And overall, it's quiet, doesn't kick much, it's pretty air efficient, and easy on paint. I really like the rubber foregrip on the Mini GS. Your hand gets covered in paint or muddy or something like that. Even with gloves on, it makes it, really easy to hold the front and grip. So I like the rubber, and I like all the rubber that, I don't know, just paintball gun companies are putting on guns in general. Trigger's good. The trigger's a definite improvement over the original Mini. The original Mini, the trigger wasn't very adjustable, but these things you can, pretty much set however you want. They're very adjustable. So that's stuff I like, and then there's, a couple things I don't like. So I don't like how on the Mini GS, at least compared to the Axes, how you have to use an Allen wrench to remove the bolt. So you take out that bottom screw right there, bolt slides out. Well, I don't like that. It's not that big of a deal. It's super fast, so it's not a huge problem, but it's just a little more convenient on the Axes. I also don't like how if you want to clean the eyes out on the Mini GS, you have to completely disassemble the gun. So you have to remove the frame, the solenoid, there's an air transfer tube, there's 4 other screws that has a plate that holds the board in place. You have to remove that plate and then you can clean the eyes. So it's a process. That's something that they took care of and fixed on the Axe 2.0 and the Axe Pro. So if you think you clean your gun a lot, or you want to keep it spick and span, that is something to consider, that the Mini GS is going to take considerably longer to clean than the Axe 2.0 or Axe Pro. The regulator is also something I have a little bit of an issue with. If it ever has issues like leaks or something, it's extremely difficult to take apart. But you very, very rarely have to take it apart. I'll bet 1 out of 2,000 Mini Axe owners has to actually get their regulator serviced. So it's not something that is done often, but if it is needed, it's kind of difficult and super annoying to take apart. My biggest complaint is the size. I can't hold this thing right. Like, my hand covers the entire gun. So I don't like how small the thing is. I know it's called the Mini GS, but it's friggin' mini. So it's supposed to be small. While I like the feel of the Axe 2.0 or the Pro a little bit more. They're a little bit more stretched out, so it fits my hands a little bit better. I kind of went over this in my recent review of the Axe 2.0. We'll put a link up there. But really, the Axe 2.0, the Mini GS, and the Axe Pro are kind of essentially all the same gun. They're just variations on Empire's inline poppet bolt system and solenoid. So they all shoot very similar, but there's definite differences in between those 3 guns. So the Axe 2.0 has pretty much all the same stuff that the Mini GS has, just has a bigger feel, so the overall gun feels larger. It does have a quick release bolt system, eye cover so you can clean the eyes way easier, and that's about all. So the Axe Pro has all the stuff that the Axe 2.0 has, and then some more. So on the Axe Pro, ergonomics are quite a bit different than they would be on the Mini GS and the Axe 2.0. It has the foregrip is away from the trigger frame, so the trigger frame doesn't connect right to the front of the gun. So you can kind of just hold the front of it a little bit easier. And the Axe Pro does have OLED screen. But really all 3 of those guns are going to shoot very similar. They use the same bolt, solenoid, regulator, and for the most part board. So air efficiency is going to be about the same, reliability, sound, kick, all that stuff's going to be very, very similar. There's just little differences in between those 3 that make the Mini GS not as good as the Axe 2.0 or the Axe Pro a little bit better, than the Axe 2.0. Now let's talk about if you should buy it, what else you should look at, and other options. So I think most of you guys that are watching this are probably interested whether you should buy this coming from other paintball guns. So you might have like a 98 or Tippmann gun, or say you have some Zoden electric gun, and you want to upgrade, or you're brand new to paintball, but you don't want to necessarily get a Tippmann because you really like it and you think that this would be a better investment long term. So I think in that price range that this is now, so these are $300, there's nothing better. Really, there's just not. So there's some other guns in that price, right? So there's the Proto Rises, there's the regular Rise that's $250, then there's the Maxed Rise, which is $350. This is better than both of those. I like the Rise, the Max one at least, how it has a 2-piece barrel, but just overall build quality and reliability, Mini GS is still better. Dangerous Power also makes a couple guns. There's like the Valken Proton, but yeah, I think that if you're like, I have $300, that's exactly the gun to buy. If you can stretch it a little bit more and get to that $400 price, take a look at the Axe 2.0 or the new ETHA 2. Those two are also very good, and they're a little bit bigger. So if you don't like that small size, yeah, they'll probably just feel better in your hands. Well, I don't like that small size. Some people may. We find that these fit little kids really well because they're so small. Or if you're just a small person, have small hands, small arms, the Mini GS, yeah, may fit you perfectly. So it's hard for me to say, get a bigger gun, because it's really just going to come down to what feels best in your hands. Yeah, so I like the Mini GS. They're great, really. I mean, at $300, there's nothing better. They're reliable, they're easy on paint, maintenance is low, parts are everywhere for them, the warranty's good. There's really nothing that can be said bad about these guns. I love them. So if you're in the market, $300 to spend, and that's all, just buy a GS and you're good. So if you guys have more Mini GS questions, or like say Proto Rise questions, or questions about other guns in that price, that like $300, $400-ish, $100 stuff, leave a comment below. I'll do my best to answer it.